the OTC tends to have, I would say, about three different kinds of patterns in terms of price movement to the upside. So let's switch over to Webull, because they give you the full view, not just the most recent, but they give you all of the data from back then, back when it ran from low double zeros to 6 cents, and then it inevitably dropped to 1 penny, where it held. Okay, so these are the three patterns. This is more so for beginners. So obviously, if you're experienced, you're probably like, I already knew this shades. But maybe your mind will be blown. Maybe you'll learn something. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, here's what I'm seeing. You look at the past, okay, we had this huge hype run that, 2021 was a special year. There's unfortunately people who still, want to get that high, who still want to chase that high from 2021. They still want to, they still want that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to get into that next penny stock that goes to the moon, right? Unfortunately, we don't live in those times where every day there's something running 10,000%. Okay? After the hype run, what do you see? You're about to learn how I see the markets, how I see and do my technical analysis, not just historical, but also recent. It comes down. It retraces pretty much all of its move. Comes down. It drops down as low as 0075 because Ukraine got invaded, I think, on that day. And on the 24th, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I assume it dropped there because of that. But anyways, people love it under a penny. Got pushed up immediately, and it held 1 penny. Okay, so the hype 2021 runs, those are over. Since then, if the company drops some good news, it'll move, and if it continues to drop good news over and over again, that keeps the momentum going. So we pumped. You can see we came up as high as 215, and then we dumped to 115, and then we consolidated here and broke out again, and we got as high as 249. This required multiple pieces of news back to back to keep the momentum going, or else it would have just dropped right back to 1 penny. So that's the first kind of move right here. That's the first kind of move that you will see in the OTC, where the stock pumps, it breathes, more news comes in, people are excited, it pumps again, breathes, pumps again, breathes, pumps again, breathes. Eventually, the stock price gets to a point where there's so many people who are gonna just dump it, it's just gonna come down. And you can see right away, like, wait a minute, there's no breathing here. It just kept going up. It literally went from, look, it just green. This little pullback, there was no breathing. There was no, that was insane. Those were different times. Here you can see, look at these red candles. That's breathing right there. That's normal for OTC especially. It's normal for it to drop a penny and then pump again. This isn't exclusive to Cybl. I'm just showing you this one pattern. And you'll see why. I'll get to my point. Don't worry. I'm sure this is important. This is important, especially for beginners. You can see AITX, same thing. Huge pump, breathes, pump, breathes, pump, and eventually comes back down. At some point, 500% run from 003s, 2s. Whatever, wherever you bought in, you made quite a bit of money. Okay, so that's the first kind of move you see in the markets, is this slow move to the upside, higher and higher as we take some breaths. Okay, number 2, the second kind of move is where we pop and then it comes back down the next day or the day after. What do I mean by that? Well, you can see very clearly, we pop. Oh, no, not that one. That's not a good example. Where is it there? Here, we pop. Okay, people get excited on this green candle. Oh my God, this is it. We're going to the moon. And the next day, it's just a big red candle and it just comes back down. Okay? Same thing here. We pop. We come right back down. It's short-lived. People get excited here. Oh my God, this is it. And it just comes back down. Same thing here. We pop. Next day, moves a little more, but still comes right back down eventually, like really fast. Like, this is fast for OTC, by the way. And then you see that same thing happen again. Here, people were getting excited. Oh my God, this is it. This is the one. And it just comes right back down. So you're seeing the patterns, right? So this is another kind of move that can happen in the markets where it just kind of pops. People get excited, but the smart ones like us, we dump it on their heads and we rinse and repeat, which is literally what I've been doing. That's why we have 100% win rate on AITX. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to have 100% win rate, because it's insane. I've been doing so great this year. It's incredible. Another kind of pattern, the last one, is the stair stepper. So you can see very clearly we just stair step and then we also stair step down. So this one's kind of, this doesn't happen often. It's usually done in anticipation of news. So if news is about to drop, it stair steps higher and higher before inevitably dumping on the, it's a sell the news essentially play. So you can see here, eyeless stair steps, because this is stair stepping in anticipation of, I believe it was the shareholder meeting, and then on the day of it just dumped, right? So that's another one, the stair stepper, as I like to call it. Stair stepper in anticipation of news comes right back down. Okay, so that's another one here. Here's a stair stepper, it stair steps right back down. So those are the different kinds of move. There's also the parabolic move, but I don't really want to talk about that one because again, we're not in 2021. It's rare that you're gonna get a very parabolic, like multiple cent move in one day. Like that, it can happen, absolutely. But that's a fourth one, and I'm just like, we're not in 2021. If it ever happens, well, you'll know because you're gonna be like, oh my god, this just went like 3 cents in one day, and you just made a ton of money. You'll know when you get a parabolic move. That one's like very obvious. Obviously, if you're experienced, everything I'm saying to you right now is like, well, I kind of already knew all this shades. But this is more so for the people who were asking me, like, I don't understand how you view charts. Like, why do you make these decisions? Okay, so the reason I'm showing you this is because I believe that this is going to be short-lived, and I already sold off. I sold here at 008s. I flipped it, is what I'm trying to say. And I believe it was the good choice here. I'll buy back when it comes down. I know some people are going to tell me, well, it's not going to come back down. It's going to come back down. I just showed you the patterns. Cybl back then, after the hype 2021 run, we're not in 2021, by the way. The people that always tell me, oh, it's never going to come back down, it's usually the people from 2021 that are still like in delusional la-la land. Look at this. It held 1 penny. Held 1 penny. Held 1 penny. 1 penny. It always comes back down. And it ran to what, 145. Here it ran to 1.4. Here it moved to 127. Here it moved to 127 again. What do you see? Do you see what I see? Before the CE hit and we came down as low as 0014, before this CE designation happened, what was the stock doing? The company's releasing news, clearly, and the stock was just trading sideways from 713 until December. So for 5 months, it was just trading sideways between 1 penny and 143, 147, or 127. So you could constantly flip it for 27 to 40%, which is awesome. Why do you think I love this stock so much? And why do you think I flipped it right now? If this is going to continue to, I know some of you are going to say, well, the company is doing better. Shouldn't it behave differently? No, the company is not the stock. Just like, and here's what's funny. People will say this ad nauseum. The company is not the stock. Well, guess what? The stock isn't the company. So it doesn't matter. The company could be performing better compared to back then and have higher revenues and all that. But you can see clearly we're not even holding 1 penny like back then. We're actually holding 005s or 6s. That's number 2. So that you know, it's funny when people say, and I want you to really think about that. People will say ad nauseum, hey, yeah, oh, the company's not the stock. Well, guess what? The stock isn't the company. And if you look at the historical pattern, if this is going to continue to do what it's done back then, it'll be good for 20 to 40% flips. And it's just going to trade sideways wherever the floor is. If the floor is going to be here, well, let me get out of Weeble. Let's go back here. If the floor is going to be here at 005s, 006s, and we're just going to flip it between that and 1 penny, I mean, it's just going to be, I mean, that's a nice, what, 20 to 30%, depending on where you buy. Maybe if you're able to get in at exactly 005, you can, you know, flip it for 100%. So the point I'm trying to make is, if this is going to repeat the past, which it tends to do, and as we well know, the company's in the stock, but the stock also isn't the company. If it's going to follow previous patterns, we'll have our occasional huge runs, right? This is a huge run here. Yeah, I know some of you are saying, that's not a huge run. It needs to go to dollars for it to be a huge run. We're not in 2021, my friend. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're doing. We're just smoking. But we're not in 2021. So I sold it off because I believe this is just going to be a little pop. And anticipate. Why? Okay, think about this for a second. Why is it moving in the first place? Oh, Q&A incoming. Q&A, what does that mean? Well, there might be some, you know, juicy information in that. So what does that mean? We load in anticipation of that Q&A dropping. Now, why would people do that? Well, because more than likely they're going to sell the news, and they want to take advantage of any price surge that happens. Not just in anticipation, but also if they drop some big news, guess what's going to happen, okay? Remember the 3 patterns I talked about at the beginning of this video? This is a very educational lesson for some reason. But this is a lot of people, by the way, who are new to my channel. Like a lot of Cybl, a lot of people who jumped in on Cybl here, they were new. They were some fresh new market players for some reason who don't understand how it works. So that's why I'm explaining it, and people have been asking me questions like they don't understand how I see the market. So that's why I'm explaining everything right now. And some of you who have been around, you probably already knew this. Maybe you've learned something. Let me know in the comments below if you've learned something new, or maybe you're like, screw you, you just rambled for 15 minutes and I learned nothing. If you learn nothing, then that's probably because you've been following my channel for too long and you know me like the back of my hand and you know my strategies. But as I was saying, I believe this is a short-term pop. You know, at most it'll come to 1 penny, maybe at best. But like I showed you, I think this is going to be a pop. I don't think it's going to be a big run like this where it comes up, breathes, comes up and breathes, and then eventually exhausts and comes back down. I showed you with AITX what happens. AITX has experienced all 3 patterns. The pop and it comes down. The stair stepper comes down. The huge run comes down. Always comes down. As long as it's in the OTC, it's going to do that. It'll have its run. We take advantage of the pops, flips, runs, stair steppers, and we dump it. That's the name of the game. Bag or be bagged. So I sold it off, and I believe it's because here, you look at this green candle, look at the volume, 37 million. 37 million in volume. That's not a lot. And see, if this was 100 million in volume, then we'd be like, whoa. Oh ho ho, looks like we might start running. But this was a low volume in my opinion. I would have wanted to see more volume. Number 2, if this is just going to be a stair stepper, then this can become a stair stepper, assuming this isn't a short-lived pop here and then it just comes down. If it's going to be a stair stepper, it's going to slowly climb higher to 1 penny, and then whenever they drop the Q&A, it'll dump because of sell the news. There's people who are going to sell the news. They're just going to sell it. They load it in anticipation, then they sell the news. And it's going to come right back down anyways. The only way it doesn't come back down after sell the news, people get out, is if buyers step in, because in that Q&A they drop such bullish information that the stock itself continues its momentum because more buyers step into the markets. So despite the initial sell-off because of sell the news people, it gets bought up and then it goes higher. And it does this, you know, it dips, gets bought up and it goes higher, dips, gets bought up and goes higher. And that's how we can get that pattern where we slowly climb higher and get to maybe back to 2 cents and then drop right back down. So you see that, you notice what I'm saying to you right now is that it inevitably comes back down anyways. It doesn't matter whether it's a parabolic move, whether it pops, breathes, pops again, breathes, pops again, whether it's a stair stepper. There's no stair stepper here yet, so I can't really show you a stair stepper. But if it's a stair stepper or if it's a pop and then the next day it just comes down and it just starts coming back down to you know, support. Regardless of which one it is, and they all have the one thing in common. They all inevitably come down. And that's it for the video. And hopefully you learned something from this. Alright guys, I will see you in the next one.